the night. I'm getting ready to go to bed here shortly. I just wanted to come on here for about probably 10, 15 minutes. We're going to talk how I got started on my fitness journey, right? So as y'all see the physique, all natural, all natural. Y'all can do it too. Best advice I could give you is it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. You got to be dedicated and you got to be willing to learn, grow, and evolve. Learn, grow, and evolve. Change too. It's all the same thing. Learn, grow, evolve, change. Right? First off, how I got started. Hold up, let me switch the view up real quick. Switch the view up real quick. And I'm gonna go mic'd up too. Let me go mic'd up for y'all real quick. But I'm gonna talk about how we got started. Let me grab my camera stand real quick. To all y'all new to the channel, make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna tell y'all how I started. It's been a hell of a journey, but hey, trust me, it's worth it. It just take time. Oh, appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, man. I'm just different, man. I always been like this, but sometimes life happen. You get all messed up, but life will beat you down if you let it. Life will beat you down if you let it. But hold on, give me 1 second. I'm gonna put my mic on and I'm gonna talk to y'all for about 10, 15 minutes real quick before I get ready to go to bed. I'm gonna talk about how I got started with my fitness journey, which a lot of people don't talk about. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't, right? A lot of people just trying to sell you all types of things to not to say that it ain't gonna work, but that might work for them and that might not work for you. So what I'm saying is, moral of the story is you got to find out what works for you, because what works for me, what I do in my type of training may not work for you, right? And like your body is not conditioned to be able to do the things that I do. So basically what I'm saying is we all have to start somewhere. It don't matter where you start. All you have to do is start. Give me 1 second. Let me get this microphone. All right, so back to the story. I'm gonna start going live more often. I usually don't go live because I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have nothing personally against live, but to me, just my opinion, I like to, like, when I'm training and working out, I just like to train. But like whenever I feel like going live and I feel like sharing information with somebody, then I do it, right? But for the most part, I don't like going live. But I'm gonna start going live more often. Let me connect this microphone so y'all can hear me real quick. And I'm gonna give y'all some information how I got started, right? If y'all new to the channel, make sure. He said, when you bench 3 plates, I'm always like, damn, yeah, man. That, to be honest with you, bro. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Let me know in the chat if y'all can hear me. To be honest with you, I always been naturally strong. But like I say, life happens, and it's just like I'm trying to think of the simplest way to break this down. So like in high school, middle school, I always been an athlete. Football, any sport you put me in, I was good at. Football, soccer, baseball, basketball, tennis. I was just a natural born athlete. But sometimes things in life happen, and my mom and dad had got divorced, right? And that just separated everything, because to be honest with you, I could get my mom or dad on here and they'll tell you if I would have stayed focused and would have focused on school and would have like had that structure, and my mom and dad always on me like, hey, you could do it, and yeah, you know what I mean? But I probably would have been an NFL baseball player. My dad said all the time. He was like, "Man, you was so good. You could have been in baseball or NFL." But sometimes things in life happen, and that maybe wasn't destined for you to go that route, right? You never know what tomorrow gonna bring. You never know what life gonna bring you. You can't control what happens to you. You know what I mean? But you can control how you respond to it, right? And that's one of the great things that I learned in life. You can't control how people think and feel about you and what they say about you, but what you can control is your actions and how you feel about yourself and what you think about yourself. And those are the most important things that my best piece of advice I could give to you in life is sometimes you got to be your own cheerleader, and that's just the reality of it, right? Because everybody looking for outside validation from people on social media, right? And you probably will never meet any of them people, and you probably will, but the ones that really you truly inspire and stuff, man, keep those ones close, man, because I learned the hard way throughout life, but it helped me to evolve to a better person. But back to what I was saying, sorry to get off topic a little bit. So, like I was saying, my mom and dad, once they got divorced and went separate ways, this is real life stories. Everything I'm telling y'all, I'm not lying about. And that kind of just tore my family down. And, you really don't know which way to go when your parents and your parents separate, because it's just, you with your mom all the time, and your mom don't know how to be a father figure. She don't know how to tell you. Male structures are totally different from women. So I'm not saying that she didn't do her job. She did a great job at raising us, but a father's gonna keep that discipline on and give you that. It's just hard to explain, but anyways, make a long story short, yeah, when they separated, I kind of went and did my own thing in life, and I got involved in some bad stuff, and I was a teenager. I probably was like 16 years old. Especially from the environment and the places that you come from has a big effect on your life. So like for me, I come from a tough environment, and it's not to boast or brag. Like most of my friends I grew up with, either, and it's just the reality of it, they either in jail, dead, or they got kids, a whole bunch of kids. They stressed out. It's hard for them to get jobs. They mess their life up, but one thing I learned is you don't have to let your past define you, right? Your past make you who you are. You don't let it have to hold you back and define you. Yeah, you gonna make mistakes in life. That's gonna happen. But it's what you do with the mistakes. Don't let those mistakes keep you back from growing and becoming a better version of yourself and being a better person in life, because I was in some situations where I shouldn't even be here right now. And I'm very fortunate and blessed to be sitting here on this camera talking to y'all. I just got my passport, so we traveling foreign. It's gonna be a great year. We we already traveling, but we're going foreign this year. But like I say, how I got started on my journey, man, I was at my lowest point in life, and I really didn't know which way to go. And this is a true story. I was staying at my friend grandma's house. I probably was about 26, I think, 20, maybe 25, 24. I had just got out of jail. Just got out of jail. I had got in some trouble hanging around some dudes who I thought was my friend. I end up going to jail. Real life stories. Everything I'm telling y'all, I'm not lying about. My house got raided by the police, and I thought my whole life was over. Right? I could have got killed that night. I will share this story with y'all. I don't mind sharing it because I'm past that now. So make a long story short, I went to jail. I really didn't know what I was gonna do when I got out, and I went and lived with my friend grandma for probably about a year and a half, and it was like maybe 10 of us living there. And it got to a point where it was so many of us living there that if you ain't have no place to, if you didn't get no couch at night, you had to sleep on the floor. Simple as that. And I really didn't know which way I was going. I wasn't working. I wasn't doing nothing. And all I know is I was just staying out of trouble, paying my probation, staying out of trouble. And I wasn't even working out at the time. And actually what happened was this lady came over one day, which I know who she is because she always been around since we've been kids. Her son, same similar situation I was in. He wasn't doing nothing with life. And she gave him some motivation and encouraged him and inspired him, and he turned his life around. But she said to me one day, she was like, "What you doing?" She was like, "What you doing with your life?" in that point in time, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just existing. Simple as that. I was just existing. I ain't know about no diet. I wasn't thinking about working out. I wasn't thinking about traveling. I wasn't thinking about none of these things. All I knew was how to make money. I knew how to make money. That's what I knew how to do. I was good at making money, right? And but I wasn't good at saving it. I should have invested. If I would have invested my money, I wouldn't be working right now. But you live and you learn. But I'm just thankful to be here. I'm just sharing my story with y'all. So back to the story of how I got started. She said to me one day, she was like, "What you doing with your life?" And that in that point in time, like I say, I didn't know what the hell I was doing with my life. I was lost, to be honest, lost. I ain't know shit. I ain't know shit. I ain't want to change. I was just content where I was at, and I ain't see nothing wrong with it. And she was like, "What you doing with your life?" I was like, "I don't know." She was like, if you don't change your life," she was like, "You see these guys on the corner?" And in my neighborhood where I'm from, like, it's a lot of hustling, it's a lot of crime, it's a lot of, they done cleaned it up a lot, so it done changed. And it's not like how it used to be like 10 years ago. They done cleaned it up a lot because they done put the Habitat for Humanity houses around here. But make a long story short, everybody either hustling, they own a corner, they trying to make some money, vice versa, they going to jail. One of the three things, baby mama drama, all types of stuff. So she's like, if you don't change your life, I never forget this. And it just hit me. She was like, if you don't change your life, she was like, you see those people on the corner over there? I was like, yeah. She was like, you keep up, you gonna be just like them. And then I thought about it later on that night, and I'm like, damn. She told me if I keep up, she was like, you keep doing what you're doing, you be 60 years old, you gonna be just like them. And it just was the reality of the truth because I wasn't going nowhere. I ain't see nothing. What I was doing was wrong. I ain't want change, right? So what's up? So make a long story short, when she said that, I questioned my whole reality. I said to myself right then and there, I said, I gotta do something with my life. Cause if I keep doing what I'm doing, life gonna pass me by and I'll be 50, 60 years old doing what everybody else doing. A whole bunch of nothing. So make a long story short, when I first started working out, I ain't know nothing about exercising. I ain't know nothing about diet. I ain't know nothing about nothing. Like, I knew how to work out because I always been an athlete, but I just didn't work out, right? I used to club, party, drink, all that stuff. You feel me? Oh yeah, grandma looked out for me, boy. I ain't gonna lie. Grandma, I ain't gonna lie. Grandma 90 years old and she's still alive. This lady, I ask her about her stories and she tell me stuff and I be like, wow, she 90 years old. She's still moving around, still walking around, still alive to this day, still checking the mail. And I'm very fortunate for her because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have had no place to live. But make a long story short, I started walking around a park, right? I wanted something better for myself. I wanted to do something better. I'm like, man, it's more than life than just this neighborhood, this community, standing on the corner, watching everybody hustle and stuff. So I started walking around a park around my neighborhood down the street, and it was a pull-up bar out there. At that time, I wasn't doing pull-ups, so I was trying to find myself because, like I say, sometimes in life things happen to you that you can't control, and you got to be willing to change. Though you have to be willing to adapt, grow, and evolve. That's why I always tell you that because you don't have to be stuck in a place that you don't want to be in. Like, we make things much harder than what it is because we concerned about how this person gonna feel or what they gonna think. My greatest advice to you is to be honest with people because when you honest with people, you could be honest with yourself, and that's hard for a lot of the people to do, is to be honest with themselves and ask themselves a hard question. There's some wisdom that I'm giving y'all because, like I say, if you honest with other people, you gonna be honest with yourself, and that's one of the biggest things I learned. Like, through my journey is like, okay, I ain't work out. Let me get up and go work out. Vice versa. I ain't got no job, but let me go try to get a job. I ain't got no money, but let me go try to do something to make some money, and not in a legal way, in a righteous way, right? And I'm not saying that what they doing is bad because they just trying to survive. I can't throw stones at them. I used to do it, right? So make a long story short, I would walk around the park and I was just trying to find myself. I probably was like 23, 24. And I walk around this park every single day. I was damn near homeless. I ain't had no clothes. I ain't had no shoes. My pants had holes in them. See, people don't know that side of me. Y'all just see me lifting all the heavy weight and stuff. And y'all be like, damn, he's strong. But when I tell people my story, they be like, wow, I ain't know you overcame all that stuff. I say, yeah, man. And it's not just for me. It's to encourage other people who going through the same thing. It's to let them know, hey man, you could do it. I did it. Yeah, I've been through that. Yeah, you bro, keep going. You got it. I'm telling you. And it's not gonna happen overnight. It just take time. So make a long story short, I started walking around the park. Boom. I started off with that. Seen the pull-up bar. They had little benches around there, little dip bar, little push-up bar. And I would walk around and then I started with my squats, push-ups, squats and push-ups. That's all I was doing. I would walk around the park, do my push-ups, walk some more, do push-ups, walk some more, do push-ups, right? And then at that time, I ain't have no car, so I was riding my bicycle everywhere, right? So I started around the community. I had got a bike, and then I was like, man, I got to get out of this neighborhood. There's nothing going on for me in my life to make me better here. I rode my bike all the way to the beach, which the beach is only 15 minutes away from me. And I never used to go to the beach. For some strange reason, I went to the beach, but I ended up riding to Clearwater Beach, which is like 7 miles, and I had I got the bike still. My dad still got it. It's a classic. I'm gonna post a picture where I started, but I rode my bike all the way to the beach. I was like, I gotta get out of this neighborhood. I rode my bike to the beach, and I got to the beach, and I ain't know what the hell I was doing. I got out to the beach. I'm like, this is what I'm saying to myself when I get out to the beach. I'm at the lowest point in my life. I don't know nobody. I don't know what the f I'm doing. I get out to the beach. I say, what? I say, what am I doing out here? I don't know. I just see people walking past, right? And then I'm like, I don't know nobody. I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like something was just guiding me. I can't explain it. It just was like, go up here. And I went up on a bridge, right? And like I say, I had a raggedy bike. And the guy that I met, he could tell y'all about this. He laughed. We laugh about it all the time. The bike I had, it didn't have no fenders. Uh I used to have to stop with my feet because it ain't have no brake. All the cables was broke on the bike. The spindles was broken. I don't know how the hell I made it out to that beach. I don't know how the hell I made it anywhere with that bike. But anyways, I seen a random dude sitting up on the beach, and he just sitting on a bridge chilling. So I'm like, hey man, I'm like, hey, you got some cool tattoos. He was like, what's that? I said, them tattoos cool. And y'all ever met somebody in your life where it feel like you known them forever? And he was like, what's that? I was like, man, them some cool tattoos. Man, we popped off like this. And I told him, I'm like, bro, I'm like, because like I said, I ain't never used to go to the beach. I'm like, all these people come out to the beach. He like, yeah, what the F are you talking about? I'm like, man, I don't never come out here. This how it is all the time. He like, yeah. He was like, what are you talking about? So make a long story short, he like, wait till summertime. It'll be a lot of people out here. I'm like, man, I'm gonna start coming out here all the time. And he was like, where you rode your bike from? And he was like, how did you make it on that bike? I was like, I don't know. I wanted to get out of my neighborhood, right? And I was telling him about the things what was going on in my community and stuff. And he was like, I know. I said, man, how you know? He said, because I lived in Oakland. So he lived in Compton. So he experienced the things that I was trying to tell him. And right then and there we clicked. So make a long story short, he was vegan. I ain't know nothing about dieting. I was already working out. Like I told you, I was working out, and I was just eating whatever because I've been structured and my family never been taught how to diet or take care of their health or take care of themselves. Like, yeah, financially they was taking care of themselves. We had a roof over our head, but we was eating pizza, McDonald's, Burger King, Checkers, whatever you name it, because that's all we know. And it takes time to learn. Like I say, it didn't happen overnight, but you got to be willing to learn. And what I was saying, back to the story. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, he was on a bridge and we hung out and talked. But he was a vegan, and he was just telling me a little bit about himself. He was like, "Yeah, I traveled all these places," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I traveled 50 states and 30 countries." I'm like, "No way." He was like, "Yeah, I traveled the world." And he started telling me about all these places around the world because I never thought about traveling. I ain't think about none of that. I ain't think about diet. I ain't think about health. I ain't think about taking care of myself. That wasn't a priority to me. And he was like, um, yeah, I traveled all these places. And he telling me all these places. I go home and looking up online. I'm like, wow, man, it's a great big world out there. This is how I started traveling. And this is how I started my fitness journey. It took for me to get out of my community. I'm giving y'all how I started, where I started from, where I came from, where I'm at right now. And make a long story short, I told him, I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna start learning about diet and I'm gonna get in shape and I'm gonna work out. And he said, like, from my community where I come from, if you tell people, not all of them, but if you tell most people what you gonna do and you got an ideal and you want to do this, they gonna tell you that's stupid. Why you doing that? You can't do that. Oh, their mind frame is, oh, you eating Caucasian people food. I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? I'm just trying to better my life. At that point, I used to think people who was talking about health, eating healthy foods, I used to think they was crazy. I'm like, man, these people crazy. They talking about all this food bad for you, because you can't think of that right now. You're not even thinking about that. You just thinking about, I'm hungry, I want to eat, right? So he was like, man, I'm gonna give you a documentary to watch. He's like, go watch this documentary called Forks Over Knives. I'll never forget it. So if y'all on YouTube, go look it up. Type in YouTube and type in Forks Over Knives. It'll change your whole life on the industry, how they make food. It expose all that, right? So I go home, I go watch it. I watch it. I say, why they do this stuff? It show you where the food coming from, like behind the scenes, right? Because we just go to the grocery store and pick up the food. That's easy to do. We don't know where it's coming from. We don't know what they doing to it. We don't know what they putting in it. And this documentary tell you all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I can't believe they do this. I go back to the beach. I tell him, I'm like, man, I watched that documentary. That's crazy. Why they do that? And he was like, why you think they do it, right? So, more of the story, I started learning about health and diet. I'm gonna tell you straight up, I ain't know nothing about avocados. I ain't know nothing about no fruits, no vegetables. My first time eating an avocado, I never forget this. I took an avocado because I ain't know. Like I said, I ain't know nothing about no diet. I took a raw avocado and I grabbed the peel and I tried to bite it like an apple. And I'm like, what the is this? Because I never had one. I ain't know how to eat it. So I told him, like, bro, I tried to eat avocado. I'm like, bro, you bite into it? He like, no, what are you doing? I'm like, man, nobody taught me this stuff, man. So it just take time, man. Like I said, y'all gotta be willing to learn. And he was vegan, so he didn't eat no meat. And I would ask him about health and food. I didn't even know nothing about no I didn't even know nothing about no nutritional facts, right? I ain't know nothing about nutritional facts. Like I say, I just used to eat whatever. He taught me how to read my labels, uh, how to read the nutritional facts. And I'm like, man, how you know this stuff? He was like, cause I learned it. So I'm like, dang. So you mean to tell me if I eat 8 chips, this how many calories it is? He like, yeah. So you times that times how many services it is. I'm like, damn, I ain't know that. Like, it's just an ongoing process. But like I say, I was willing to learn. So, make a long story short, I met him, boom. And then I continued to work out, right? Still working out, going to the beach. And I really didn't see changes in my body until I started a diet. I was working out and I started seeing changes in my body, but I really didn't see changes in my body until I started the diet, right? So, cause he was asking me, he like, what you eat? And I was like, man, I eat chips, I eat hot dogs, and I eat sausages with mustard. And then I was I was like, I eat roasted almonds. He was like, bro, what are you doing? That stuff is horrible for you. He's like, look at all the salt and sugar in here. I'm like, what? He like, yeah, that stuff is horrible. Don't eat that stuff. Why are you eating that? I'm like, man, I don't know. I thought it was healthy. He was like, bro, this is not healthy, bro. Get some regular almonds. So make a long story short, we became like we damn near like best friends. We like brothers almost. He he changed. He seen something in me that I ain't seeing myself. So he got me traveling. I ain't gonna say he got me traveling, but he sparked something in me to travel. I never used to travel. I never used to think about traveling. I could tell y'all stories for on and on and on and on. Y'all gonna be like, man, tell me some more of them stories. So back to what I was saying. I got into working out and then I got into dieting. I ain't know nothing about dieting. Then I started learning about diet. I started working out. My body didn't change until I started putting the proper nutrition in my body. Then I started going to the gym, and I never forget. One of my friends was like, "Yeah, I got you. I got you. I got you. I got stories for days." One of my friends, and this one, I was another point when I was lowest in my point in my life when I had my dreads. I'm gonna show y'all pictures of me. I used to have dreads, and it was like downhill, but I was like 22 years old. And this was when my buddy first brought me to the gym. He was like, hey, man, work out. And I was like, man, at this time, I was partying, drinking, and clubbing and doing all the stupid shit that you going to do when you're a teenager because that's what was important to me. I ain't care about taking care of myself. You know, I'm going to McDonald's 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk as hell, eating cheeseburgers and breakfast with syrup and all that stuff. So he was like, hey, man, come work out with me. I went to the gym. I'm like, bro, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? He was like, bro, shut up, just work out. I'm like, Brian, man, I'm like, this is stupid. I ain't coming to the gym no more. So I stopped going. But anyways, I finally took it seriously after like when I hit rock bottom, I started taking life way more seriously. And like I say, I actually after I built my body up from the calisthenics, I had got into a gym, right? And then once I got into the gym, I started lifting weights and I just continued to learn and learn and learn and talk to other people. And that's what you have to do. You have to separate yourself from your old friends. And it's nothing against them because they at where they at in life, right? Sometimes you gotta leave people behind, and that's just life. That I can't explain that. That's just life, right? Things happen, people change, you know, and you can't. And one of the biggest things I learned is stop taking things personal, man. That helped me a lot along in my journey. But yeah, sometimes you gotta leave people behind in life, and you gotta be willing to go on your own. And not only that, sometimes the journey get lonely, right? Sometimes it get, especially if you're doing it by yourself all the time, and most people not used to being by themselves all the time. Like most people are afraid of their own thoughts because they don't want to hear it, you know. You gonna hear the truth when you by yourself. The truth gonna come to you when you by yourself. And that's what I learned by spending time by myself and learning who I am and getting know who I am as a person and what can I do and my strengths and weaknesses. That's a challenge itself. But I would go to the gym. I started lifting weights, and I never forget this. I had became super strong. I always been super strong. Well, I don't know if y'all know that. I always been. Most of y'all don't know that. Y'all ain't gonna know that because y'all don't personally know me. But I always been super strong. And once I built my strength up, I was like 165 pounds. I was bench pressing like 315, but I didn't have the proper technique. I was benching with my shoulders. I was benching straight here. Cats would come in the gym. They're like, bro, how are you benching 315? I'm like, man, I was benching 315 like 3 times, 2 hours. Hey, I thought I was the shit. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm benching 315 3 times at 165. So make a long story short, this dude came to me one day and he seen me working out. He was like, bro, he was like, you strong, bro. He was like, you strong as hell. He was like, you should get in powerlifting. I was like, what the? I'm like, what the hell is powerlifting? He was like, powerlifting is when you lift weights and you go on a platform and you could compete. And I was like, what? And he was like, you ain't never heard of it? I said, nah, man. He was like, yeah, you go on a platform, you could compete against people. And I was like, for real? He's like, yeah, I pay for you to go do it. And I'm like, for real? He was like, yeah, I pay if you. He was like, if you go to this powerlifting meet, I'll pay for you to go. I said, all right, pay for me to go, bro. It's a dime a dozen that you get people that do this for you. And like I say, sometimes people see things that you don't see in yourself. He actually paid for my first powerlifting meet. I never forget this. And that's when I started that's when my journey really, really got started when I got in that powerlifting meet because that was my first powerlifting meet. And you know that's like anything you do in life that's new to you, you're gonna be nervous, afraid, and scared, right? You're gonna be that's just the way it is until you continue to do it. Once you continue to do it over and over, it becomes first nature. So it takes courage to overcome those fears. Like you have to, I'm trying to think of the simplest way to break this down. Because like, yeah, one thing is working out, right? One thing is working out, but working out in front of people is totally different because like you all in your head, it's people watching you, so it's totally different. Never done a powerlifting meet, so I had to basically say, man, f that, I'm doing that. I don't care, I'm doing it. I don't care, I'm doing it, right? So I just like, man, I'm doing it. I showed up to the powerlifting meet and my numbers was I did Ironman. I didn't know nothing about lifting. I ain't know nothing about bench press. I ain't know nothing about squat. I ain't know nothing about deadlift. Like I say, I always been naturally strong. So uh my first squat was it? Yeah, it goes squat, bench, deadlift. So my first squat, and like I say, I ain't had no belt, no knee wraps. I ain't had no coach showing me how to lift. I just was I became my own best friend. I built myself up and became strong. So my squat, I did 405 squat with no belt, no knee wraps. These people looking at me like, what the hell is he on? First time squatting, 405, no belt. Killed it. They looking at me like, what the hell? But I didn't know in powerlifting, like I say, I didn't know about when you do squats, you have to get depth. And when you go up in weight, you can't go up in weight until you pass the first rep. You get 3 attempts. So you get 1, 2, 3 squats, right? And if I fail on my second attempt, I can't move up and weight until I pass that weight. And you have to get all green lights in order to pass that weight, whatever weight you put on. I didn't know nothing. Like I said, I ain't know nothing about powerlifting. So my squat was 405. Boom, I killed that. Everybody like, who is this dude? What? He ain't got no gear on, no belt. He's squatting 405. So me, I ain't had nobody coaching me. You get to pick your numbers after you complete the lift. Instead of me doing small numbers like I did 405, I should have put like 410, 415. I went to 455. I'm like, I smoked 405. I'm like, man, I'm finna jump to 455. I told him put 455 over there. Man, that 455 crushed my little ass. Oh, 165. That shit got. Hey, I had what? Hey, 455. I think I'm finna hit it. I go to squat. I fail twice, right? So after you fail twice, you go on to the, or if you pass it, then like I say, you move up and weight. So after I squat 405. That was my total for the squats. And this is Iron Man. There was another guy who trained. I think he was actually the same weight class with me, but he had coaches that was training him. And my first time lifting and competing, I did over 1,000 pound club. I believe I did 1,100 pounds. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So after the squats, you go into the bench press. It's squat, bench press, deadlift. So my bench press was okay. My bench press, I did like I want to say like 325. I did 350. No, I did 315 first. Then I think I did like 320 or 325, which was my final. But I didn't know, like I say, I ain't know nothing about technique. I just been strong. And when you doing powerlifting, you can't just go like this. Like, if I'm weightlifting, I'm working out by myself, I could do this all day, right? Because it's momentum. Boom, boom, boom. That's momentum. In powerlifting, when you competing, you have to come down slow and they'll be like, press. You got to hold the bar here for like 2 seconds. They'll say, press. Then you have to press it. and then you have to hold it here for about like 2 seconds. So it ain't like this. That's momentum. It's more easy to just to do this. When you strict here, this is power. That's power. Try it. Try it. It's way harder. You could try it with 135. So make a long story short, I did 325 on the bench press. And then after the bench press, you go into deadlift. And my deadlift was let's see. Oh yeah. My deadlift, I blew the deadlift out. I did 495 first. And then my next one for my deadlift was 550. And like I say, to remind y'all, I did this Ironman. I didn't have no belt, no knee wraps, no elbow wraps. I ain't have nothing. These people looking at me like, what the fuck? Who is this dude? Who is this dude? Like, do anybody know who he is? Where he from? Like, who taught him how to do this? And that's how I met my powerlifting coach for my first powerlifting meet, man. And he actually taught me. That's why, like, I enhanced it because, like I say, I ain't know the proper technique. I didn't learn the technique until I started training at my powerlifting gym with my coach. And shout out to my coach, Coach Brian. I never forget him. He taught me how to lift. And now I get to teach others how to lift and help them to become a better version of themselves. And it's nothing more rewarding than helping somebody who been through what you've been through and seeing them succeed and inspiring them and encouraging them and motivating them to say, hey man, you could do it. I believe in you, man. Like, nothing's more rewarding than that. What's better than helping other people succeed? Like, you know what I mean? What's better than I get joy and fulfillment out of that. Yeah, I work out by myself a lot, but if people ask to come work out with me, I'm gonna show them what I learned and show them how to train and show them how to make their body develop and how to push your mind to further limits and what proper foods to put in your body. You know what I mean? I totally believe in that because at the end of the day, we all gonna die, and you can't hold all the information to yourself. You cannot. You. What's the point of me doing all this and holding all the information to myself? So if I could give it to somebody else who's less fortunate or don't know, and then once I share it with them, it's like passing the torch. Like, you know how the marathon people, they run and then they hand the baton. That's what I'm doing. I hand it to that next person, and then somebody gonna come along and they gonna teach them. So it's like just forever sharing with somebody else, and that's a great, beautiful feeling. And I'm gonna leave off with that. I just told y'all a little bit of story about how I started and where I started from and the environment and my journey. That's just a little bit of the story. So um till next time, I'll probably come back on here maybe tomorrow. I don't know, maybe a couple days later. But I gotta get ready for bed. It's pretty late. If y'all new to the channel, make sure y'all like, share, comment, and subscribe. Give y'all 30 minutes of my time. Peace and love. If y'all like the content, peace and love. Make sure y'all share that. I'm out.